Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Thanking everybody who has been rocking with us throughout the night. We appreciate those folks that are listening to us live on TuneIn and Streamer. We appreciate those folks that are listening to the replays right now on iTunes as well as on YouTube. Y'all rock with us. We roll with y'all every single week live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. You are listening to the flagship show, Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J, every Monday night from 7 p.m. Eastern until we finish. I'm happy and honored and humbled to bring you guys the next interview that we're going to have on tonight's show. This is a brother of mine, a personal friend of mine who has a very, very compelling story, and I won't even try to get into it. I'm going to let him do it. So at this time, I want to introduce my brother and my friend, Mr. Brian Evans, to the show. What's up, B?
Hey, what's going on, my brother Marcus?
How you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm great, man. Thank you for having me tonight, and it's an honor to be on your show as well. I really like your work that you're doing, and it's a privilege for me to just be here and share my story with you guys.
Well, I appreciate it. It's an inspiring story. It's an inspirational story. In the lead-in earlier tonight in the show, I kind of alluded to the accident, and I just kind of referred to it as that. I didn't get much into it because it's not my story to tell, but we know that there was an accident, and July 1st 2015 was a day that your life changed forever, is it not?
Yes.
Tell me
a very life-changing circumstance that happened on my life.
Well, tell me about that one.
I can talk about it.
Well,
share it with you guys.
Yeah. Tell me. I want to back up, and I want to start with the morning before anything happened. You got up, you got up as a regular day. Tell me how your day went that day.
Okay, so basically, I work for a bank. I'm a business consultant at Bank of America. I've been blessed that I had a very, lucrative and very successful career. I just got promoted. To a higher level of clients, and I was going out to celebrate. I literally started my new position on the 1st of July of last year. So I literally put my box on my desk. I was walking around talking to everybody. Everybody's congratulating me. I'm just thankful. I'm just totally happy and blissfulness. I'm like, man, I'm going to celebrate with my bros. We're going to go out and just have some fun. That's what we're going to do when we get out there. I never knew that was going to be the last day I saw that office for a year. Right. I literally went out and got all the guys together. It was real last minute, so I just tried to get people to come out. I was going to go out regardless. So it was a nice day outside. I was debating on whether I wanted to take my truck or my motorcycle, and I leaned towards the motorcycle because it was just so nice. And, you know how it is. If you ride a motorcycle, you just want to ride that any chance you get. So I went up there with one of my fraternity brothers, and, we rode up there together. And we met a couple other guys up there, and we was all just having a good time. I had the time of my life, man. I was celebrating my job. I mean, my life was looking good. I felt like I had everything I possibly could want. And I always had this weird thought in the back of my head, like, what's getting ready to go wrong? Like, my life is too good.
Right.
And it's odd that I'm saying this on the radio show, but I literally had that thought in my head, like, wow, everything is just going too good. Something's bound to happen. Right. I just didn't think it was going to happen that night.
Right.
Well, so what happened was,
let me
you have any questions about where I'm at so far?
Yeah, I do. So, you don't have to, because we're brothers, I know where you were, but we don't have to name drop the place. But, you're hanging out with the homies, you rode the motorcycle. So obviously you can see listeners that we're obviously talking about a motorcycle accident. Tell me, you pick up when you left the place and what you did prior to the accident, because I think it speaks to your love as a brother for other brothers, and of course you can protect the names to say to save the honor of the guilty or innocent for that matter.
Yeah.
But depending on your perspective,
we'll protect the identity.
Yeah. But what did you do?
Present to defend themselves.
Yeah. What did you do?
So what happened at this point, and I'm glad you asked about this. So we're leaving. It's time to leave. I'm looking around, making sure everybody's straight because that's just my nature. I make sure everybody's okay, everybody's safe. And the police come to me. They're like, "Hey, did you ride up here with this guy right here? And I'm like, yeah, bro. They said he cannot get on his motorcycle. If he gets on his motorcycle, we're locking him up because he is drunk. And I looked over there at the time. They said, that's why I'm falling all over. So I'm like, oh, my God. Like, why are you like this right now? I can't believe it. I was like, thank you for telling me, police. I appreciate that. I'll take care of it. So I tell him, he's like, oh, I'm good. I'm okay. Basically saying that he's going to get home. They're going to give him a ride home. I was like, they're going to give you a ride, but they're going to be home. It's going to be to the police station. So I was like, look, man, let me take your bike and, you just get home safe so you don't get locked up. And he's like, no, man, you know how I do. If I get in the police chase me, I'm going to run. And I'm looking at this dude like he can barely walk. So it's like, this isn't going to happen. So I pretty much convinced to get them keys one way or another. And I took the bike and I said, you follow me. I got him home. And then I was telling him, I was like, man, I can't believe you're doing this, man. You could hurt yourself. You got a newborn baby, man. You could end up paralyzed or kill yourself. And he was like, oh, you're right. Thank you so much. And I love you. And I was like, no, you're right. I'm going to see my brother. I would do this for you no matter what anyway. I'm not going to let anybody just ride home like that. So I get back to Fridays. I ride back to Fridays. And they say, that's such a great thing you did for your friend. And this, and the third, like, praising me for it. And I'm in my mind like, why are you praising me for, like, I would have did that if I saw you like that. I would have did it. Like, I'm not going to let somebody kill themselves. So it was like, all right, well, you have a great night, sir, and God bless you, and you drive home safe. Now, mind you, Marcus, it's 2:30 in the morning at this time. So I'm riding home at 2:30 in the morning by myself with no witnesses around me. I literally get about a block away from Fridays. The next thing I'll wake up underneath a guardrail on the side of 64. No clue what happened. Have no memory of anything to this day of what happened. It was almost like a cut scene from a movie.
That's crazy. And I know when you open your eyes, you were scared. You didn't know what the heck was going on. Tell me about what that felt like.
Yeah. So the cut scene was, like I said, a movie because I had no memory of the accident. I just I woke up, I looked around, I saw my bike sliding. I saw it at the end, like maybe about 15 feet away from me down the interstate. And I'm like, what is the bike doing down there for? And I'm like, oh my God, don't tell me I'm in an accident. So I look up and I'm like, how am I underneath the guardrail with this? And so I said, let me get my bike before the police come. So I try to get up, and that's when life hit me. I'm not walking right now. Like, my legs don't work. I'm like, oh my God, don't tell me I'm paralyzed. No. Then I tried to, pick myself up. My hands didn't work. So I'm like, oh, my hands don't work either. Oh my gosh, I done messed my body up. Like, God, please, no, don't tell me this. And like I said, it hurt me so much because it was like, God, I tried to save someone else's life today. And I don't want to end up underneath the guardrail. Like, how's this happening to me?
Right.
So I passed out. I don't know if it was shock or whatever, but I was really hoping it was a dream that I was going to wake up from. And I didn't. I woke up again. I was still in the accident. And now there's some bystanders here like, you okay? You know what happened? I was like, I have no clue. And they was like, I don't know, I think you fell. I'm like, I ain't fall off the bike. I don't fall off bike. And, the police came up there and they were just like, have you been drinking, sir? And they all on the, forget your accident. Let me see if I can hit you with a DUI.
Right.
And I was like so upset with this guy because it was like, I literally just found that on a father collegiate and the state trooper, all he cares about is truck lives and give me the blow in the face. So, that just shows the insensitivity of some police officers out here, which I'm not going to get into because I'm already mad about some things, but we're not going to make this show about that.
Right.
We're going to make this show about, life and positivity. And, I'm going to share a few what went on from there. But, waking up in the hospital in ICU, the thing that hit me the hardest, Marcus, was, I'm on the verge of dying. I'm coming in and out, Everything at this point is a fight for life or death with my life. And, you think about your body and work that you left here on this planet, and you look around and you realize I didn't do as much as I could have done. Like, if I leave right now, I messed up,
Right.
I focused on money. I focused on things, things. I want toys. I want a nice house. I want a beautiful wife. I want, things, and it's like when you're almost gone and it's no get backs, no take backs, you're like, I didn't leave any type of legacy here.
Right.
It's funny you're with Legacy Radio, but honestly, what legacy are we leaving here on this planet with the time we're here? Like, how precious are you really considering your time? And I almost missed out, bro. Like, all they would say is, oh, Brian had a nice job. He had a lot of good things.
Right.
And then you forget about me a week or two later, and life goes on. Everybody goes on with their life.
Right.
And I really didn't impart anything on my kids or anything for that matter. So when I woke up thinking about it, I almost died, and my life has changed forever. And, I'm not the guy I used to be, and it's not a bad thing necessarily, Marcus. It's just relearning how to live life. And you've been living one way for 35 years, and then you try to come back and live that way again is virtually impossible.
Right.
Because you're not that guy that fell off the motorcycle for the past 35 years of your life.
Right.
You become a new creature. You learn how to interact with people differently. You learn how to dress. Well, you're trying to dress yourself. You're trying to feed yourself. Like I said, I'm a quadriplegic at this particular moment. Temporarily, let's say, because I still hold on to hope.
Right.
But I'm unable to feed myself. I'm able to dress, bathe, all that I need assistance with.
Right.
And that's a very humbling experience. Like, if you're a person that's used to providing for yourself and, being your brother's keeper all the time, like I was always the one looking out for my friends, my family. I was the protector. I was the keeper.
Right.
And now I need somebody to keep me now in every aspect of my life. And that's different.
Yeah.
It's a different experience, Marcus. So,
that
was the thing I was dealing with.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. We're talking to my brother Brian Evans, who suffered a motorcycle accident on July 1st, 2015, and we are working through his story, and we're kind of doing a little bit of a biography and making our way to the present. So what I want to do is kind of walk the listeners through each step. So now, you've gone through, your time in the hospital, which was how long? How long were you in the hospital?
Oh, I was in the hospital for 3 months. But then I went to a nursing home for another month.
Okay.
Then I went to home health.
Okay.
And then I went back out to rehab facility for another 10 weeks.
Okay.
So I guess about 7 months of a year, I was in some type of facility, some type of hospital rehab center.
Okay.
For that much time.
So the first 3 months that you were in the hospital, did you find that, you got a lot of support from folks?
Yeah. I am thankful for this, Marcus. I will say that, when it first happened, I was overwhelmed by all the support and friends and family and just everybody coming together. They said I wasn't conscious for all this, but they said it was over 100 people in NCV the night of the accident, praying for me to the point they had to shut down ICU, and people were standing outside the hospital, and the line went from outside all the way to the inside of the hospital.
Right.
And that meant a lot to me. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to notice or witness all that.
Right.
I was very heavily sedated. But that was a blessing. My job came together. Everybody at my job, pulled together for me, and they were praying for me. And, it's just all walks of life. And here's a testimony to, I guess I did do something right before I got in an accident. I feel like I could have done more. But if you can literally leave the impact on someone's life
right.
to the point that when something like this happens, it affects their core, it affects their soul too. Like, they realize how fragile life is.
No,
it's not like you're like, oh man, I heard about this guy. It was like, oh man, this happened to Brian. Like,
right.
I can't believe Brian got in this situation. It comes a little closer to home when it's somebody that you really know, and you see somebody that's really, vibrant, has a vibrant life, and interact with people and stuff like that. It hurts harder.
I can speak to that. I can speak to that because I was one of those people. And right. Without getting too much into, our relationship. You were a mentor, but we are fraternity brothers, and you were my mentor. You were my teacher. And so, I felt, and I've told you this to your face, but, I felt very afraid, for you, and I was hurting for you. And, I was just, I was pretty broken up, and just, you encouraged me and worked me through all of that. It was crazy. It was a very crazy, for me, it was a very crazy experience because, here I was, supposedly holding you down and trying to keep your spirits up. And, you the one telling me, I'm all right, I'm going to be okay. I'm good. I'm going to be okay. And, there'd be some days that were good days and there'd be some days that weren't so good days. But, you always kept your faith. And you telling me that you were reading your Bible and praying a lot. And anybody that knows me, I'm not a religious person, but, I know that we're not here by ourselves. We know the great architect
right.
covers us. But, it was an odd thing for me to watch how one man's faith in the face of, tragic near death, situation can turn into inspiration for those folks around them. And that was, that was something that was very empowering and powerful for me to watch. The next thing I want to kind of get into, after you left the hospital, you mentioned that you moved on to, I think you said the rehab center. You were there for about a month. What was that like?
Yeah, that was a nursing home, man.
Nursing home, that's right.
Imagine going somewhere like that and you're 35 still. You're like, oh my gosh, I was the youngest guy in the nursing home. Like, I was like, what am I doing here? But I wasn't ready to go home yet. So
right.
It was like my family wasn't ready to take me on. I needed to be somewhere where there were nurses at. So I had to go to a nursing home, my friend. And that was different. When you go to a nursing home, older people move a lot different than younger people. And I've never really took the time to go to a nursing home prior to going to that one. So just the vibration of the whole place, just the whole ambiance of that place was just like, people are getting ready to go back home. They're getting ready to leave here. And when you're around that much energy like that, it kind of wakes you up to like, oh man, either you're going to die quickly or you're going to get there, in the long run, but you're going to get there at some point. Right. So it's just like, when you're around all these people and they're looking at you like, oh, look at the young man in the wheelchair. You okay? You all right?
Right.
If they're checking on me, making sure I'm okay, and I'm looking at them like, you can ready to go back home and like, any day now. Like, you worried about me? But it just lets me know that, life is it's always quick. Even if you die at an early age, if you live to be 90, them 90 years are going to pass by like a twinkling of an eye if you don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Or if you don't do anything fulfilling. Right. So I'm up in that rehab center / nursing home, and I'm going through all types of emotions, bro. Like, I'm worried about my family. Like, if my wife's going to stay with me, or she's going to be tired of this. Like, I'm never going to be able to be with women again. Not saying women, but, my wife. I don't have these organs and these sexual organs that I love so much. They don't work now. Like, I'm going through it. And, if you're a man, any man that's listening to this radio station, we do everything we do we do everything we do for a woman in hindsight everything. You don't put on clothes unless you're trying to let the girl know that you care about your appearance. You don't go to work. If you didn't have no woman around here, you wouldn't even really have a reason to go to work.
Right.
You just sit at home and be a bum all your life. But we want to go out and show that we're providers. We want to go out and win us a woman. We're hunters. We're hunting for that stuff.
Right.
So when you're a hunter like me that was a hunter, and then you turn into a hunter with no bow and arrow, you just walking around wanting to hunt something, you ain't got nothing to catch nothing with.
Right.
It's a life-changing effect, and it messes with you psychologically. Like, I ain't got nothing to offer people. I ain't got nothing to offer. No female, my wife, you go through these weird emotions. Like,
right.
Nobody want me, but, you got to push through that type of stuff. Like, that's not nothing but a trick. Like, women don't think like how men think. Thank God. Like, their emotionally attachment is completely different. We're more physical. They're more emotional. And I'm not saying like they're emotional, like they cry all the time, but, they mentally have to be into you to do something with you. A guy be like, oh, you just look good. Let's do it. So right. It's like, it's a difference.
Right.
So, you can still win. You can still win the heart of your woman just by your intellect and by your ability to make a woman feel safe, physically or non-physically. Just making a woman feel secure is sometimes all a woman's looking for real.
Right.
So I thank God that came to that realization that I do have something to offer my wife. I do have something to offer society. But it took a minute to figure that out. In that nursing home, I was up in here, like, scared. This is like the third month that I'm like going into month 4. And I still don't know how to do anything for myself at this point. I'm constantly needing a nurse to help me feed and turn the station on the television. I couldn't go anywhere. I had to call a number up and pay $75 to go to a doctor appointment. Like, life was rough. Right. Life was very hard. And I'm going to say all this because, you my brother, I love you to death. Like, when we were doing, when you were coming into our fraternity and things like that, I always said, it's all about building your relationships because at the end of the day, this is going to be the thing that's going to hold us all together, is us learning the process together and the way we stick by each other when it gets tough and when situations get kind of uncontrollably, you can't understand nothing makes sense. All you can lean on is the strength of your brother. Y'all are like a chain.
Right.
Well, I thank God I had that opportunity to be there with you because, like I said, you're one of the dopest friends I got. And I thank God for you because, number one, you have a beautiful mind, number one. Number two, you listen, and it's not like I had everything. You say it might be coming from somewhere else, but when you listen, you digest it, and then you come out with some awesome questions. Like when a person agrees with everything you say, that isn't necessarily a good friendship. That's more like, I'm just, agreeing with everything you say. When you got those friends that they're like, yeah, that makes sense, but what about this? That's how you grow,
right.
And, I thank God for you being like that because, like I said, it gets dialogue to come out. You bring dialogue. You can't have a dialogue if people are just agreeing with your first thought.
Right.
And then that's it. There's no conversation piece after that. So we never know how deep we can get unless you're fortunate enough and blessed enough to have friends like you. So I'm just piggybacking, going backwards into, you said that you were thinking you were going to help me out, and then it came out that you're just intuitive enough that whatever I was saying or whatever I was going through was able to bless you in some type of way. And I just thank God that your mind is open enough that you can receive that type of stuff. Because a lot of times we miss that. We get lessons all the time, but we're so busy focusing on what we got to do next. We don't even see the lessons that's coming out.
Right.
And so me being in this wheelchair, I'm a blessing the people, and that's why I got to get over myself and all my hardships and afflictions.
Right.
It's because, right now it's a platform to show people what we can do. And I'm going to stay on the story a little bit, but I got to go sidetrack a little bit.
No, it's
I'm only human.
It's good.
What?
No, it's good. I'm glad you got sidetracked because that's why I sat back and just kind of let you go because that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I think the listeners should hear from you because one of the things that I mentioned it to you a few minutes ago, the inspiration that I hear coming from you, and just the fact that in the situation that we found ourselves, and you praise me, and it's like that's one of the most selfless things that I've ever seen. You know what I mean? And it seems like it's kind of giving you a little bit of a piece. And when we were talking in one of our private conversations, and I don't think that you would be upset with me if I brought this up because I want you to kind of share with our listeners what you said to me then. But what you said was you felt like you were going really fast and God had to slow you down. You remember when you were telling me that?
Yeah.
Jump in there and tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Okay. So this is something that I thank God for showing us to me. Like, we're in a physical body. We're in a shell. We have a soul that's driving this body. If we didn't have a soul, we'd just be an inanimate object that had no real purpose here. The soul or the spirit is what drives this body. And with any type of thing any type of object that you're operating has limitations. Like a car you're driving, but if you hit a rock, it troubles up. Or if you drop in some water, these are limitations of the car that you're in. You can't fly in your car, but you can drive on the road. You can't run into a rock, but you can run on an open road. So this body is the same thing. Like there's certain limitations, parameters you can only go past. So you can, and this is what I learned in the nursing home. You can, and I use vibration because this is the way we see each other. Like, light is a vibration, it's a wave. Sound is a wave. Everything that you see is just light passing through it or light not passing through it. If light passes through it, it's air. If it doesn't pass through it, it's an object. So when you look at something, that's why you don't see air, because light travels through air. But when you see a rock, or if you see a chair, light hits that chair and reflects back and you see the chair. And now it's something in your mind. So not to get so deep on that, older people, when they get older, like in their 90s, their body is at the place now that it can no longer hold their soul, it can no longer hold their spirit. And now it's time to go. Your spirit has to leave. Your body gets crippled too much. Or if you get sick, and I'm not talking about cancer or any other condition, but I got a disability, I can talk on that without being judged. If you have cancer, your body is broken down so much that it can no longer hold or be a vessel to your soul, so your soul leaves. So that's vibrating on the lower side. That's going to vibrate through a flow. But then it can vibrate real high, real fast. You can have too much going on in your life that sometimes you leave your body. And in my circumstance, I felt like I was vibrating really hard. Like I just got the job, I got this other stuff going on with me. I'm very spiritual, so I think about a lot of stuff about God. But when you add all this stuff together, it just put me in a place that it was like I had to slow down. If I didn't slow down, I was going to leave this place. Like it's a ceiling to your body, and there's a floor. You can leave this body through your ceiling, or you can leave your body through this floor. You know, they talk about Enoch in the Bible and saying that he transcended, and he never died. He just left. He was vibrating that high, but he left. While his body was, he was still in the body, but he left. He ain't died. He just left because he was vibrating too high. But then you have the older people that are like 92 years old. They're vibrating so low, they just will themselves out of here. Or someone that they love dies, they don't want to be here no more, so they vibrate so low that they can literally leave this place. So, you know, I learned this is a reality to our body, and that's why you have to take advantage of being a steward of the vessel of the body you're blessed with. Like, don't destroy your body. I ain't judging nobody with what they do, because I did it with the worst of them, and I can hang with the best of them when it comes to destroying your body.
Right.
But you really got to take care of it, because, you know, if your body fails you, where else is your soul gonna go? You know, where else? You know, it ain't like you can just jump into another body. I'm not trying to sound crazy, but you got to take care of what you're blessed with.
Right.
A lot of times we abuse our body. And if I could take my shoes off and walk through some grass and feel a blade of grass through my feet, it would be such a blissful feeling. Like, people don't even understand how silly that sounds. That, oh, Brian just wants to walk through some grass. Or Brian just wants to hug his wife and feel his wife in his arms. Like, I can't do that right now, but you can. And you're complaining about stuff, but you have the ability to take your shoes off and walk through some grass and feel those grass blades through your toes. And there's people out here that can't do that in this reality, in this state. So it's just like the vibration part that I was learning about the nursing home is that my grandma died like 2 months ago. And she was 90 and she was going through some stuff. And I really think when she was in that nursing home, she didn't want to be here no more. She left. Like, she left in like 2 weeks of being in a nursing home. She left here.
Right.
So it's like, I definitely believe that you can will yourself out of your body when you're vibrating that low.
Right.
And you can leave this body if you're vibrating that fast. So back to me, I was vibrating way too fast. There's way too much stuff going on in my life that I won't say necessarily was good or bad. Because honestly, you know, I'm not God. I don't know what God thinks about what I do. I can only answer to how I feel about what I do. But I had to slow down, bro. If I didn't slow down, I would have became something that I wasn't here to be.
Right.
You know, and that's the God honest truth. Like, you know, we got beautiful personalities and souls, but it's very easy to get caught up in, you know, everything else that's going on, and it starts to influence you, you know, little by little, because your memories of how good it felt, you're trying to relive them feelings, and then you relive them feelings so much that you forget that you're in reality. You're so busy chasing a feeling that the feeling leaves you every time, and you waste some time chasing that feeling, that when you look back, it's like, man, you know, I've wasted a whole year trying to be this guy I was in 2010, and I'm never going to be that guy. Or I wasted way too much time trying to be who I was before the accident. I'm not going to be that guy no more. It's when we come to grips with realizing who we are today. And who I am today is I'm a way more stronger person. I might not be strong physically, but spiritually and mentally, I thank God for what I've learned. And here's the thing that's going to trip out everybody that's listening. Everybody thinks that they know how they're going to get to where they got to get to. They think they know how they're going to get there. You know, but the thing that's so funny, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan. And watch how much of a joke he gets out of that. Yeah. Or not he, but how much a joke God gets out of that.
Yeah.
But what I want to share with the viewers is that, you know, you deal with your circumstances as they come. Don't put too much thought into what you're going to do a week or a year from now, because there's no guarantee you're going to get that opportunity like that. Not saying you're going to die. Example. I'm not saying I want to be now. I am a motivational speaker, but the way I got here, I thought I was going to have to go to theology school, and I was going to have to get, you know, somebody to vouch for me and get all the pastors to say I'm a great man of God and all. You know, I thought that's how I was going to get there. And I thought it was going to be a smooth transition of something that I thought I was ready for. I darn near almost died, Marcus, to get here.
Yeah.
I almost lost my family. I almost lost my wife
right.
to get here.
Right.
So it's like, this isn't what I would have asked for to be a motivational speaker. If they told me this is what I had to do to be a motivational speaker, I might have passed on it. I might have gone, I don't think I want to be a motivational speaker anymore. So it's funny that we have dreams and aspirations like, you know, the people that are listening, you might want to be whatever you want to be, and you think you know how you're going to get there. And sometimes the way you get there, you got to embrace it, because the only way you're going to get there is sometimes, you know, your tuition that you pay to get your lesson, might be more than what you're willing to pay.
Right.
Like you think you're gonna pay money to get your tuition. Sometimes you pay with your hind part, but sometimes you pay with the love of your life leaving you. Or sometimes you pay with your kids getting sick. Not saying they're gonna die, but you got to go through the kids being sick to experience that vulnerable feeling of how small we are in this universe and how we have to accept that everything that we have is from the Creator. It's something bigger than us that's giving us these choices that we have to make. And they just sit back. They don't make the choices for you. They sit back and see how you're going to answer it. And depending on how you answer the choice, a whole other reality plays itself out based on your decisions. And I just thank God that in the midst of adversity, when I was about to lose everything, I was about to will myself up out of here and say, I'm ready to go, God. And I was like, I gave you the most important part, which is your mouth. You still got that.
Ain't no half stepping. Yeah, no, I'm here. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. live from the Den. Legacy Internet Radio. We're speaking with my brother Brian Evans. We're talking about his life and his experience since he had a motorcycle accident on July 1st, 2015, which left him paralyzed from the chest down. And we are kind of talking about his biography, and I think we just found out that he is in fact a motivational speaker, which is a great thing. Brian, here's my next question. You told me that you were in the rehab center. We went from the accident to the hospital to the nursing home. Now we're in the rehab center that you were at for 10 weeks, that you just was able to complete that program just a few weeks ago. Tell us about that 10 weeks and what you learned.
All right, so now, at this point in my life, that I'm leaving the nursing home. I've been home for about 5 months. And I'm going to tell you, being home for 5 months, they said, when you're in the hospital, you can't wait to get home. You're like, I cannot wait to get home and be around my family and my kids. But I'm telling you, when I came home, they weren't ready for me. I wasn't ready for them. And it was very stressful and hard on everybody, and it made me very upset. I felt isolated. I felt like I was a burden. It really got me down. And the great thing about how everything works out is I got a call from my counselor with DAR, and that's the Department of Aging and Rehabilitation Service. They called me up and said there's a place that I can go to called Woodrow Wilson that would help me get ready for work, because I was trying to go back to work. So they sent me out to this place in Fisherville. And I want to thank these people at Woodrow Wilson. Tracy, she's a counselor over there. She got me in there. Phyllis, she's another nurse, and she's like the nursing, admissions person. I thank God for her, because she helped work with Tracy. And then Rebecca's my counselor here at DARS. They all work together to get me to Woodrow Wilson, which is in Fisherville, Virginia. And I'm telling you, at that point, I was really low. I wouldn't have been mad if I got hit by a car. If I got hit by a car and left there, I wouldn't have been mad at it, which is not a good thing. That just lets you know how bad it was getting, that I was ready to leave. I didn't want to be here much longer. And I went to Woodrow Wilson. The way that place is everybody that I was at in my side of the building was 24-hour nursing care. We had, stroke victims, quads, paraplegics, people that were newly injured that were trying to learn some type of skill so they could go back out into the world. But also the facility housed a bunch of, I say kids because I'm older, but they were like between 19 and 24. And they were teaching like kids with mental disabilities or, came from rough households or were told that they're retarded, or telling them that they were in, special ed and stuff all their lives. They were allowed to come here and learn the skill and do some life skills so they could live on their own and learn how to be independent. So on one wing, it was people that needed nursing care. And then on the other side of the campus, there was like 300 and some odd like kids that were trying to learn how to work like at Walmart or at Lowe's or at CVS, or how to be a nurse, things like that. So it was like a workforce center. And I was in that place, Marcus, and I learned so much stuff. I got my driver's license. But the thing that I say I liked a lot, because I could go on for hours talking about how awesome that place is, one of the things that I got the most out of there was that the calling on my life, or the calling, I'm going to say not on my life because I'm not that special or deep, the calling on our lives as just humans is that we need to stick by one another. Like, we're so busy trying to keep up with people and not necessarily help, but show that you ain't the only one getting it. If you see somebody got something going through, so you're like, I want to be like that. Why can't I be like that? And that's not even what life's about. Like, life is really more about, because like I said, you can get in an accident and die tomorrow, and nobody cares what you had or what you was keeping up with. You know, what blueprint or what footprint did you leave on this planet for mankind that is going to live beyond you or your kids or your kids' kids? Like, are you even thinking like that? Are you even trying to put anything like that, to deposit anything like that on this earth? And what are our priorities if we're chasing things that only last as long as we're alive, and then those things go away, those things get old? But we would have the ability as a gift to do so much more, like talk to a kid that's suicidal and keep him from killing himself, or talking to a kid that's got emotional distress and don't know how to deal with being angry all the time, and showing them how to be, you know, chill out and relax on life. Like, have you done that before you died? And I'm not saying that I'm special because I did do that, but it's like your car versus 20 kids that learned something from you. Which one's more important? Your car that you can run outside and hit a U-turn and somebody smash it all up so you hit on the intersection, or these 20 kids that you instill something in their lives and they're going to go out there and do something with themselves and they're never going to forget you.
Right.
And they might even tell their kids about you. And their kids might even tell, like, you see the difference in the priorities of how we've gotten to this place that we at right now. And it's like, me being disabled, it took me to sit down and look back at how we operate as humans. I'm not saying all of us are like this, but way too many of us are like this. You know, we get caught up on what we see on TV, and we think that's reality. And these people on TV are putting out a false image to you. They're not living like that every day. They're your biggest superstar, sitting on their butt one day bored, watching the same TV shows you watch, or reading the same books you watch. Their lives are not that much different than yours. You just have time and energy. They have more time than you have, because money buys you time to not have to work and do things to take your mind off of what you want to do in life. So anyway, not to get so long, Woodrow Wilson went there. I thought I was there to get help, man. I was out there counseling these kids, man. God let me have an opportunity that the kids trusted me more than they trusted the counselors. And they come looking for me to ask me what to do, because a counselor would kick them out if they said, like, I was mad, I wanted to fight or punch a wall. They get kicked out for telling the counselor that. But if they tell me that, I can't kick them out of Philly. I just tell them, look, that's not how we're going to do it. We come here to get something. You come here to get yourself a driver's license, or you came here to get yourself a job, you know, a recommendation so you can get yourself a job. Don't you want to live on your own? Like, that's what we're talking to these kids. They need to hear that. So anyway, I went up in there. I came out there feeling like a brand new person. Like, now I feel empowered. I was in the mountains, no television, no nothing, no anything. I was just rehab, 5 hours, and go to my room, tired, ready to sleep, read some books, open the Bible up, try to get something out of that. I mean, but, all the wisdom that I'm getting doesn't only come from the Bible. Sometimes your wisdom comes from just interacting with folks.
Right.
Because God moves like this. God is your best teacher when you're sitting still and shutting up, and that voice inside of you is talking to you. And some people want to call it their conscience. Some people want to call it God, whatever you want to call it. But there's something inside you that's telling you what you need to do next. But you get so preoccupied and so busy, you never listen to it. You tell your voice, like, I'll get to that later. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to do that, but I'll do it later. I don't really have time for it. But when you stop telling your voice inside of you what you're going to do or what you need to do first, and just start doing that stuff, that's when the wisdom starts falling in place. That's when you start having conversations with people you never thought the wisdom would never come out their mouth, but it does. And I got blessed for it, Marcus. I got super blessed. And so now that takes us to where I'm at now.
Right.
This super, I call it Brian 5.0 now, because, I still believe in, investing in people's soul. I still believe in talking to folks. But my purpose is so much clearer now, because it's like, I don't participate in a whole lot of foolishness now, because my body physically can't do that. So even if I wanted to do these things, my body won't allow me to. And it's kind of a blessing in disguise, because, the amount of time that I got left, I'm on borrowed time right now. This time that I got right now, it's kind of like, I owe something time. Like, it's not time that I deserve. Like most of us that listen to the show, they think they're going to wake up tomorrow because they're living. And they sometimes you feel like you're entitled to life. But once you almost die one time, you realize you're not entitled to nothing. Like, you're living off of grace and mercy. Like, there's only grace and mercy that you haven't walked into somebody that tried to rob you today and shoot you in the head for $5. That's grace and mercy. You haven't bumped into that person. Does that person exist? Oh, you best believe they do. but you haven't met him because you're getting grace and mercy. You're being allowed to live another day, which is a blessing. And here's something I want to share. I got a whole lot of good stuff, man. This is gonna be my book. I'm telling everybody I'm gonna have a book one day.
you gonna write a book. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. live from the Den Legacy Internet Radio. We're talking to our brother Brian Evans, our motivational speaker. Go ahead, tell us about that one day book you're gonna do, brother.
All right, so I'm gonna write a book about everything I'm going through. I think I'm gonna call it Second Chance at Death, First Chance at Life, which means that I almost died, so I faced death one time and I didn't die. So I'll see death again when it's time for me to leave for real. So I got a second chance at death. First chance at life, meaning the first 35 of my years that I was living, I won't live, and that wasn't life. I'm just learning how to live life now. I'm recreating myself into a real life that's just not existent. It's just not trying to get money, come to work, make the money, get a house, make the money, get a car, make the money, people look at me, buy the clothes, get the money. That's not life, man. That's a fake illusion that you think is life. And life really is so much deeper than that, you know. So that takes me to this parable that I'm going to share with you guys. You know, like I said, I believe in God. I believe there's a higher power. And I don't want to try to tell people what to believe in. You know, you can vouch me on this, Mark. We talked about this a lot. You know, there's definitely something beyond us. But when we go back to this thing that said grace and mercy, and I'm going to say that a lot because by grace, I was able to walk 35 years of my life, that this didn't happen to me sooner. So me thinking that I was entitled to be able to walk my whole life, it's kind of naive to think that because there's so many ways that you can die. There's so many ways that you can be ill or hurt, and you don't have those going on in your life. You need to be thankful. But grace and mercy is like this. A serial killer is getting the same sun and rain and sunshine that you're getting. You see what I'm saying? Like, so both of us are allowed the same amount of grace and mercy. But what I'm saying is about this grace and mercy parable, and I got to use a flower or something like that. To make a flower grow, what do you put on it? You put fertilizer, or you put feces, or you put dung, which is doo-doo. You put doo-doo on a plant to make a flower that smells good. So plants is the best example of grace and mercy. They take bad stuff and they turn the bad stuff into a sweet fragrance that people admire. It's a beautiful thing. And so it's like, we're humans. We're more advanced than a daggone flower. Why do we take our grace and mercy to take bad circumstances and we produce bad circumstances? We don't take the fertilizer and turn it into a flower. We take the fertilizer and we turn it into another creation that spews out feces. And it's like if you had a plant in your garden that you put doo-doo on it and it made a fragrance like doo-doo, what would you do? You'd pour that flower out your garden and throw it away.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, we can't even mimic a flower or a tree. You put fertilizer on a tree, it makes fruit. It makes apples and oranges that you want to eat. You put it on a plant, you know, it makes a flower or a bud or whatever you want to call. We're not going to get deep into what I was talking about on that one. But the flower produces some type of byproduct that is great. But you had to take fertilizer. You had to take, you know, excuse my language, you had to take shit to make something good with.
Right.
So why can't we do that? Why can't I take a bad circumstance and make flowers and make fruit and make something that's worth eating, something edible or something desirable out of my bad circumstance? I am doing that. I took the crap or I took the shit at the bottom and I turned it into a flower with it. Or I turned it into a tree that stands tall and produces something. Because I'm better than the plant. I ain't going to be lesser than a plant. And I'm telling all the listeners to think about that. Like, you got a plant that's outdoing you in the grace and mercy department. All of these plants is taking this dung and this doo-doo and this rain and this pollen, and they're making great things. But all you're doing is you're putting out bad, negative energy into what's saying, I ain't got the job I want. I ain't got the wife. I ain't got the husband I want. You're taking all these bad circumstances, and you're spewing out feces. And what you think you're going to do in a garden like that? You're going to get plucked up one day.
Right.
And you're going to look back and say, I was that type of flower. I was a flower that had no beauty, had no virtue to it at all. And I'm just telling everybody that's listening to think about that. You're a human. Stop saying you're only human. Being only human is a blessing because humans are the ones that split an atom. Humans are the ones that they say flew to the moon or discovering planets that make a Hubble telescope that can look into other dimensions and other universes. We created that with our own minds. You can do this stuff. But you saying I'm only human, meaning I'm entitled to be a failure. I'm entitled to mess up. I'm entitled to get my emotions because I'm only human. If you're only human, then you need to take that word and say, I'm only human. That means I'm in the image of God. I'm only human, so that means I do God-like things. I create. I invent. I leave a blueprint that makes humanity better. That's because I'm only human. So because I'm in a wheelchair and I'm only human, I got to fix this world one day at a time, one moment at a time, 1 second at a time. I'm going to make this world better. I'm not trying to sound like Dalai Lama or sound like anybody that's telling you need to be the best that you can be. But why not? Why be the worst that you can be when you're human and you have so much potential and you can die at any moment and you're going to look back with regret? You don't ever want to be in that situation like I was that I almost died and I said I ain't accomplished nothing.
Right.
I ain't doing nothing with my life. I mean, I did do stuff to the average person. Like, oh, Brian did a lot. But I know what I'm capable of. Marcus, you know what you're capable of.
Yep.
You know, that's why you do this beautiful show all the time, because you know what you're capable of.
Right.
And no matter how great this radio station becomes, you're just going to want to do more.
Right.
Because you're in the image of God. And you'll never be satisfied with it. It's not a curse. You can say it's a curse. We'll never be satisfied or content until we die. Because as soon as we accomplish one thing, there's something else we need to accomplish. We're so much different than any other creature on this planet. A wolf or a lion or a bear or a dog, all they care about is filling their bellies. After their bellies are filled, they're living in blissfulness. They are totally satisfied until they die off of food because they're surviving. When we eat and we fill our bellies, our journey just starts again. Now we're thinking about how can we be great. A wolf will never wake up and say, I want to be a bobcat. And you'll never see a cat that says, I want to be a lion today.
Right.
You know, they just be content with being a cat, or they're content with being a dog. If they're a bear, they're content with being a bear. Right. They never want to be anything different.
Right.
But a human, oh, I want to be a doctor. No, I want to be a lawyer. Now I want to be, you know, a teacher. Now I want to be, because we're in the image of God, we want to be all these things because we can be all these things.
Right. Right.
See, that's what people miss it.
Right.
You know, we have the ability to be anything we want to be. And as long as you're doing something, that's better than talking about what you ain't doing.
Right.
You know, so I don't have legs. I'm sorry.
No, I'm going to transition because we're getting close to your time. I know you got you're getting ready to run out of time a little bit. So just transition. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. live from the Den Legacy and that radio. Brian, last thing that I want to get into is, you know, you mentioned your family and your children. Tell me about what it's been like with your boys. Tell the listeners, you know, your oldest son is an athlete, and your youngest son is, you know, probably one of the cutest people I think I've ever seen in my life. That little rascal. But, you know, tell the listeners how old they are and tell the listeners what your relationship has been like since the accident.
Yeah, a great one. I love my kids so much, and I thank God for them because they're the most consistent thing in this accident that I have. They never stop loving you. They never express how disappointed or how excited they are. They just keep it love around you. And so my oldest one, he's 13. He's a baseball athlete. I like to say he's a superstar, but he's 13, so he's a kid. So he's still got a lot of growing to go. But I'm so proud of him. You know, I've spent my whole life trying to tune him into being a super athlete and just prototype. And now all of this hard work is starting to show off while I'm in the wheelchair. It hurts me because, you know, I was very active in my kid's athletic career. I was always in the backyard throwing and catching with him. And now he needs me a lot. And I can't throw with him anymore. I can't catch a baseball. And I'm going to stop saying can't. I'm unable at this moment to catch baseballs. I'm unable to throw with him. And it's kind of regressing him because he needs someone to work with. But it gets even worse with my youngest one. He wants to be a superstar athlete like his brother, and he remembers me always being in the backyard throwing and working with him. And I'm not able to do that. So he's like, you ain't going to be able to coach me like you coached Justin. Or you're not going to be able to, you know, go to my games like you went to Justin's games. And it's no pun towards him. He doesn't understand that. I messed up.
Right.
You know, I didn't intentionally mess up, but I put myself in a situation that they're going to have a different type of dad now. You know, and I gotta mentally be there with them, right. You know, and just make sure they sound mentally. But kids still need that physical stimulation as far as, you know, playing catch and tackling them and picking up and throwing them around.
Right.
So it's hard. It's hard because, you know, I want to do these things that I took for granted, you know, and I want the listeners to think about this. You know, things like this, I was too tired, just got off of work. I don't want to throw it. You go throw it with someone else. Once again, you never know what your life is entitled to. Take advantage of all the opportunities you get while you got them, because life is super fragile and we're not invincible. I'm not saying all this stuff is going to happen to anybody else In fact, I wish this never happened to anybody. But if it did, what did you instill in your kids while you had it? Don't be like me that you wish you did more. And I did a lot, and I still wish I could do more.
Right.
So it's like, with my kids, they answer that. They love me unconditionally. They try to make me, they're my biggest cheerleaders.
Right.
I throw a ball and throw it straight to my feet. I try to throw it and they go straight to my feet. I feel bad. Like, yeah, Dad, I see you. And I'm like, wow, they love me so much. They're over here lying to me.
Your little cheerleaders. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Brian, I want to personally thank you for being on the show tonight and sharing your story and being so forthcoming and open. And some of the things that you shared were very personal, and you took the opportunity to share those things with our listeners, and hopefully there was something that was heard by someone that inspired them to, as you say, do more. And so I want to thank you. I love you, brother. And I appreciate you being
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here and whatnot. So mote it be, brother. Hold the line. We're going to take a break.
So mote it be.
Ain't no half stabbing with Marcus J. You got one more?
Hey, Marcus,
yes,
can I share one last thing? Let me say one last thing before I let everybody go.
Absolutely.
I just want to let y'all know and take this with you guys, and always remember this. You're only measured by, like, if you think you're successful, if you think you're an exceptional person, the only way you're ever going to know is by the immovable objects that you overcome. So if you're never going through anything, how do you know that you're a tighter? How do you know that you're a fighter? How do you know that you're a leader? Unless you're put in situations that leaders get put into. So I always consider myself exceptional, and honestly, everybody that's listening to this radio station that has an ear and a mind, you're exceptional. So when bad things happen to you, don't complain about them, overcome them, because that's the way you measure how awesome you really are. You'll never know how great you are unless you have to overcome something to say that you're great. So don't say you're great and don't expect anything horrible to happen to you. Say you're great, and when these things happen to you, grab them by their horns and manage and control them and overcome them. And when you do, you're going to look back and say, I was built for this. So that's what I want to share with everybody. You're built for these type of circumstances. And no matter how bad it gets, you can always overcome it, because that's how tight you are. You're a human being in the image of God. And don't ever forget that. And always use that as your fuel of overcoming immovable objects, because that's what we do. We overcome immovable objects because we're human. And that's it, my brother. I love you, man.
I love
God
you too,
bless everybody listening to this radio station. Keep in touch, and y'all hear more from you later.
You got it. Hold the line, B. Ain't no half stabbing with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio, and my brother, Brian Evans. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we got more of the show. Yours truly, Marcus J. and the crew. Be back.